This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to ER Vet on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Justine Lee, and I'm a board-certified emergency critical care specialist and toxicologist. Thanks for joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking about litter boxes. It sounds like a dirty topic, but it's so important. So for all you cat owners, make sure to tune in. We'll be right back after these messages.
Listeners, I'd love to introduce you to PetPlate.com. They deliver freshly cooked human-grade dog food right to your door. I'm talking about dog food that is so high quality that even us humans could, technically, eat it. I've been feeding PetPlate to my pup for the last 2 weeks, and it's perfect for my picky pup, and perfect for me since I'm so busy. So if you want something super healthy, really tasty, and ready to serve, go to petplate.com/spot to get 30% off your first box. Once again, that's petplate.com/spot to get 30% off your first box. PetPlate.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to ER Vet on Pet Life Radio. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about a dirty topic, litter boxes, why you need to scoop, and what you should do if your cat or cats are urinating inappropriately around the house. Now, this is a really important topic, and this is something that I see as an emergency every single day. In fact, I just saw one case on it yesterday. When we see a cat urinating outside of a litter box or spraying or defecating outside of the litter box, it's oftentimes either due to a medical problem or due to a behavioral problem. Now, previously, I had talked with Dr. Garrett Pachtinger about having a feline urethral obstruction. So if you haven't checked out that episode, make sure to check that out, because it's really important to make sure that your cat doesn't have a urinary blockage. That can be life-threatening. However, I would say about 50% of the time, it's feline lower urinary tract disease called FLUTD. It's abbreviated FLUTD. When we see signs of FLUTD or even a feline urinary obstruction, your cat may be making multiple trips to the litter box. They may be urinating in really weird places, like right in front of you on a plastic bag or in a tub or on the bed. As soon as you see that, that's your sign that your cat is telling you, please bring me to the veterinarian. The other reason why we always want to see these in the ER or at your family practitioner is because we want to make sure it's not due to another medical problem. Sometimes bladder stones or crystals in the bladder can also cause this. And that sometimes can be changed or treated with dietary changes, antibiotics, fluids, or pain medication. Now, when it comes to urinating outside of the litter box or defecating outside of the litter box, it's really important that you be aware of the rule N+1. If you have one cat, you need 2 litter boxes. If you have 3 cats, you need N+1 or 4 litter boxes. I have 1 cat, so I have 2 litter boxes. Now, I know this sounds like overkill, but remember, cats are so fastidiously clean. In other words, they don't want to step into a dirty litter box. And so they always want to make sure that they have lots of choices out there. Just because you have extra litter boxes, however, does not mean you don't scoop the litter as much. I want you to scoop the litter every single day. I know it sounds like a dirty job, but it's really important for your cat's health. And the main reason why is because we want to help prevent any of these problems. The other reason why we want so many litter boxes is, remember, cats are very territorial and they generally don't like to share. So the more cats that you have, the more boxes you need to help prevent some of these urinary behavioral problems around the house. It's also important to look at the relationship of your cats. If you have 2 cats and if they fight, we always worry that a cat may be too timid to go into the litter box, especially if it's a covered litter box, because they oftentimes feel trapped inside that litter box. So it's nice to have a couple of options out there. I always say, put the litter boxes in multiple areas of the house, have a few that are covered, a few that are uncovered. I honestly will say that I have a litter robot, which is an automatic litter box, which I love because it scoops immediately or 7 minutes after my cat uses the box. So my cat always has a fresh bed of litter and the litter box is always clean. The benefit of having multiple litter boxes throughout your house, if you have multiple cats, is it allows your cats to choose from different boxes that they want to use. And again, it helps prevent medical problems. Now, if you've been to a pet store lately, you've probably seen all the different types of boxes that they have. The automatic scoopers, the huge ones, the small ones, the short ones, the ones that are covered, the ones that are uncovered, the ones that look like furniture. When in doubt, please be aware, most cats want a big litter box. In fact, veterinary behaviorists have actually done studies, and what they found is cats typically want a litter box that goes all the way from their nose to the very end part of their tail. So cats want a big enough litter box where they can turn around, where they don't feel trapped. So you want to keep this in mind when you're buying litter boxes. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back and talk about a couple of different options on what to do if your cat is urinating or defecating outside a litter box. We'll be right back after these messages.
I love cleaning the litter box, said no one ever. Luckily, there's World's Best Cat Litter, the litter that promises less mess with less litter. Only World's Best Cat Litter uses the concentrated power of corn to quickly trap odors in tight clumps. And quick clumping means you never have to chisel or scrape the box. Less cleanup with less wasted litter? That's a litter bit amazing. Save $2 on World's Best Cat Litter. Visit www.saveonworldsbest.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to ER Vet on Pet Life Radio. Today, we're talking about litter boxes, how many you need, where you want to put them, and why it's so important to make sure that you have N+1 litter boxes so your cats don't have any urinary problems, either behavioral or medical, as a result of not scooping enough or not having the right type of litter. Now, if your cat is urinating or defecating outside of the box, there's a couple of things I want you to do. First, I want you to make sure you're having the right number of litter boxes. Again, N+1. Second, I want you to make sure that you have variety. Put them in different places. Make sure some are covered, some are uncovered, and that you're scooping frequently to make sure the litter is clean. Third, make sure that your cat doesn't have a medical problem. Go to your veterinarian and make sure that you get a sterile urine sample, what we call a cystocentesis, where we use a sterile needle to get a urine sample, because we want to make sure it's not from a urinary tract infection. Interestingly enough, young male cats rarely get urinary tract infections. It's less than 2 to 10% of the time. However, if your cat is older than 10, and your cat is showing some of these signs of urinating inappropriately, that's when I worry more about a urinary tract infection. Cats are more likely to have a UTI when they're older. So really important that you check with your veterinarian to make sure you've ruled out a medical problem versus a behavioral problem. If you happen to rule out a medical problem, the next thing we want to focus on is making sure that we're doing everything correctly and that it's not a behavioral problem. Now, keep in mind, if you try all these hints in this podcast and they don't work, check with the veterinary behaviorist. They oftentimes can work with you in terms of urinating outside of the litter box. One easy step I like to do is I like to get the pheromone feel away. This comes as a diffuser or a spray and even a wipe. And I use this in my own cat who was 18 when he started defecating outside of the litter box. So I can definitely empathize how difficult and frustrating it is when your cat does this. So what did I do when my own cat started defecating outside a litter box? I made sure that I was scooping every day. I had N+1 litter boxes. I got a feel away diffuser to make sure that I had that pheromone that was helping calm my cats and make sure they were getting along well and it wasn't a behavioral issue. And then I actually moved a litter box to the area where my cat was defecating. If you put the litter box right there, that's going to encourage them to go in the box instead of on your carpet or on your floor. Very slowly, over several days to weeks, you can slowly move that litter box off to the side. The fourth thing that I did is I actually bought a new litter box that was much easier to step into. And what I realized is osteoarthritis is really underdiagnosed in cats. It turns out once I started my cat on pain medication for arthritis, my cat started using the litter box appropriately again. It turns out that the litter box was just too steep, and stepping 4 to 5 inches into a box was really uncomfortable for my geriatric cat. So I actually started my cat on a pain medication called gabapentin, and my cat did really well on it, and it honestly resolved all the inappropriate urination and defecation. So if your cat or cats are urinating or defecating inappropriately around the house or right outside of the litter box, we want to make sure it's not an underlying medical problem. We want to make sure your cat's not blocked, that your cat doesn't have feline lower urinary tract disease, that your cat doesn't have one of those rare urinary tract infections or even crystals that thankfully can be dissolved with certain types of prescription diets. We want to make sure your cat doesn't have underlying arthritis that's making it difficult for them to step into the box. When in doubt, if all these tips don't work, you're scooping a lot, your cats are getting along, please talk to your veterinarian or your veterinary behaviorist about different options. The last hint I wanted to give is if your cat was just diagnosed with feline urethral obstruction or feline lower urinary tract disease, one of the main treatments is minimizing stress. What does that mean? If you have new house guests or you are in the process of moving, all of this can be really stressful to your cat and actually result in a sterile cystitis. If you know that this is going to happen, talk to a veterinarian about medications that are going to reduce the anxiety or the pain in your cat, and that oftentimes will help minimize it. The second thing that can help minimize it is actually increasing water content. I am actually a huge fan of feeding canned food to cats. I offer my cat both dry food and canned food, but I want my cat to learn to like canned food. So I give it as a little treat. And the main reason why I do this is because, unfortunately, one of the top killers of cats when they become geriatric is kidney failure. If you can get your cat to drink more and learn to eat grueled, watered down canned food, this can really help them when they have underlying kidney disease or underlying lower urinary tract disease down the line. So, in summary, make sure you're offering your cat or cats multiple litter boxes. Make sure you're keeping your cat's bathroom habits healthy by scooping at least once a day. Make sure you don't suddenly change the litter. Remember, cats don't like sudden change. You can't go from one brand to another within one day. If you're going to change to a different type of litter, you want to do it really gradually over the course of several weeks, adding in 25% new litter over the course of several days to several weeks. So again, do things slowly. Make sure you ruled out an underlying medical problem. And once we ruled out that underlying medical problem by getting that sterile urine sample or even x-rays, then we want to potentially consult with a veterinary behaviorist. Consider feel away. Consider pain medications. Consider things that are going to help your cat be less painful, especially if they're older and have underlying osteoarthritis. The last thing I wanted to mention is when it comes to cats, most veterinary behaviorists say that cats prefer clumping litter. What does that mean? I'm actually shocked. In the ER, a lot of my pet owners are still confused on the different types of litter out there. That's because there's so many choices. There are some people who still use clay. What does that mean? Clay, in my opinion, was used in the 60s and 70s. Hardly anyone uses it anymore. But clay litter does not clump, which means you have to dump the whole litter box once a week. This is really eco-unfriendly. Cats don't like clay because it doesn't clump. So if you're using clay, I would recommend switching gradually to a clumping litter. Now, clumping litter is different. It clumps. So you don't have to dump the whole box each time once a week. All you need to do is scoop. and you're going to scoop out those fecal balls. You're going to scoop out those clumps of urine. My little trick is I keep a used plastic bucket that used to contain kitty litter. I line it with a plastic bag. I scoop once a day into it, and then I just dump that bag at the end of the week. So the more frequently you can scoop, the healthier for your cat. And remember, most cats prefer clumping litter. My last little advice when it comes to litter is try to pick a dust-free litter. This is really important because cats spend a significant amount of time in that litter box, and if it's covered or encased, all that dust can accumulate within that area. It's healthier for your cat's lungs if it's dust-free. Likewise, make sure that that litter doesn't have a really strong fragrance. That's going to turn off your cat too, and they're not going to want to go into the litter box quite as frequently. When in doubt, talk to your veterinarian, give your cats lots of choices, and help keep your cats healthy and happy by making sure you're keeping their litter boxes clean. And hopefully that'll minimize any kind of inappropriate urination or defecation around the house. Well, that brings us to the end of today's show. Find me at drjustinelee.com, on Facebook at Dr. Justine Lee, or email me your questions at drjustine@petliferadio.com. With that, we're out of time, and we'd like to thank Mark Winter, our producer, for making ER Vet possible. See you at the next episode.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.